Hi everyone, welcome back to the Hollywood Actors Guide to Surviving the Film and Television Industry. This is Jennifer Lynn Warren, your guide here in Hollywood, California. Alright guys, so let's dig into the text today. And today I want to say that you need to start trusting your text. Whether it is for an audition or you book something and it's a performance, you need to start trusting the text. And I know that I'm thinking about this. Oh, and if you hear something that sounds like rain in the background, that's dry ice in my sink. I actually couldn't think of the English word. I could only think of the Spanish word. It's in my sink, and I got my butcher box today, and it's thawing, and it's doing weird stuff, and my kitchen is wonderfully smoky right now. But anywho, back to the text. So I know I'm thinking about this because I'm about to shoot my first short film as a director / camera operator / sound person. I'm the entire crew because of COVID-19. I'm shooting it with actors who have also been self-quarantining, and we don't have any we're not dealing with elderly or anybody that we feel that we could be putting at risk. So we're being very careful, and we're keeping it very small. So that means 3 actors and me, the entire crew. But I also wrote the script, and there's a fear I think a lot of writers must have that the actors are going, oh God, this text is terrible, the script is terrible, and this and that. And I'm just hoping that they trust me as the writer / director, that what I'm having them do and say is right for the story. And it led me to think about all the auditions we go on where we judge the material very harshly. There have been times that I've auditioned for something that seemed like really bad writing, and then I go to find out it's a high-profile project, and then I see what they did with the text, and the light bulb just goes off in my head, and I think, what an idiot I am. I was not able to see this vision. And so sometimes that happens. But for you as an actor, even if you're right, maybe it's terrible, maybe the script is awful, but you're not in a position yet to turn down work. So your job is to make the script come to life. And the best way to do it is to trust it. Because if you just buy in to the text and the character and everything that's in that story, and you give it your all, then the director, who's the visionary, will see that you see their vision, because they're not directing it because, I would hope that they're directing it because they want to direct it, not just because it's a paycheck, but it can happen across the board. But one would hope that they got the job because there is something that they are buying into. And when you trust the text and you let the text play you just let it take you on a journey for where it wants to take you, then I think you're going to get closer to the vision of what the writer has and what the director has, and I think you're going to get closer to booking it. So trust the text. If anything confuses you, just ask. But the best thing to do is just to go in and just assume that it is an undercover, high-profile director who just doesn't want to know people. He doesn't want actors to know that he's directing this because he wants to discover all unknowns. If you go into the audition room like that, your reading is going to be so much better, and that casting director is going to remember you, and you may even book the part. So trust the text. Why do we set goals? A psychiatrist will tell you that the reason why we set goals is not to actually acquire the thing. Very few times in life do we actually get the thing and we're no longer that excited about it. So, in 2007, I bought my car brand new. I was very, very, very excited about having a car. I washed her all the time. I took very good care of her. Cut to 2020. I still have that same car. She's running great. Thanks for asking. Love her. I actually really love my car. Like, we have a bond. But you know what? If she gets scratched or she's dirty, I'm kind of like, meh, and it's really easy to turn my head and see a shiny new car across the way and be like, oh, gee, it would be nice to have the 2020 version of my car. And then you start dreaming and then you start thinking about other goals. And the same thing happens in acting. You're like, the first time that you're ever an extra on set is actually usually pretty awesome because you're like, holy crap, I'm on a set. And then you get your first speaking line and you are calling your mom and you are over the moon. You got your quote big break, which we all now know is not a big break if you've been listening to me, but you're like, yes, I finally got that one line. And then 5 years later, you're complaining to your manager where you're like, you know what? I'm only getting one line here and there on TV like every 4 to 5 months, and you're no longer grateful for that one line. You're like, where's my guest star? Where's my series regular? And then if you guys are listening to all of the podcasts that are out there with celebrities, we'll talk about how like, oh, I was a series regular on this show and then I was so over it. They're like, why don't I have a movie? Why don't I have an Oscar? Why don't I have 10 Oscars? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? And the reason why we set goals is not to get the thing. It's because we think if we get the thing, if we get the Oscar, the role, etc., that it's going to make us feel a certain way. So if you're setting goals, which you should be, and it's because you want to feel a certain way, which is human, I bring this up because there's a way to get power over your goals so that the chasing of the goals don't control your life so much. And if it is that I want to win an Oscar because I want everyone in the acting community to take me seriously and give me adoration, we'll get very clear as to why you really want that Oscar. And then think, are there other ways that maybe I could feel that way without the Oscar right now? Are there things that I can do right now that people will love and respect me for? So I just want you to think about that. We set goals because of the way we think they're going to make us feel. And when we get those goals, that feeling is temporary. So what are you going to do when that feeling is temporary? What are you in this business for? Because celebrity ain't all what it seems. Okay, friends, let's talk about the casting director mystery. I was going through my notes. I was just kind of flipping through, looking through my notebooks. I told you that I keep a journal, and everybody else should too, about all the auditions and workshops and such that I've taken. And now just seemed like a good time to look over all that since everything's quiet and see if there's any gems I can pick out. And I had gone in with a workshop, or for a workshop, with Allie Bader. And she had something very interesting to say. You know, she does a lot of comedy on TV. I did a scene from Castle. I actually did the pilot from Castle. I know she doesn't like phone pitches. She really likes email pitches, and she gave us her email, which is actually her industry email, which I was very impressed with, that she is so open. But the thing that, and she's like, oh, what, actors like to say, what's your pet peeve? Like, that's going to open some magical door to booking in her office. But she said, she's always having to tell her actors to go faster. I'm like, okay, well, it's comedy. So that's probably very common because comedy is very hard, and she does a lot of sitcoms. And I'm sure, like, actors going faster is probably something they need because, the script only has a certain amount of time to shoot. If you look at something like Big Bang Theory, it's very specific on the amount of time that they have. Think how difficult the editing is for that. For those of you who have shot your own web series or short film, I'm sure you edited it to the point where you're like, oh, 7 minutes is, that's great. That's enough for the festival. Oh, now it's 6.5 because we did these cuts. But when you're doing a lot of the television or especially sitcoms, it's down to the second for how it needs to be edited. And so they need their actors to be able to act at a certain speed and know how to pause in the right places, especially if it's like 3 camera and you're dealing with an audience. But I also think that's also specific to that casting director, very specific to that casting director and the shows that she casts and what she likes to see in her room. It could be that you go into a casting director or they change casting directors and it's someone else and you're used to auditioning for Allie and all of a sudden you're auditioning for this new casting director for the same show and they're like, I need you to slow it down. And we're always trying to figure out, what does the casting director want? And it's so pointless. You can never figure out, you're never going to figure out what the casting director wants. You got to show them what you have to offer. That's all you can do. Because not only is every single casting director different, but every director, every producer, every writer, every showrunner is different. So somebody who like April Webster, who likes to stand up in the audition room, she likes to have the sides pretty much memorized. She likes to really engage with her actors. That might turn off some directors. J.J. Abrams loves it. They work together all the time. But maybe another director will think the casting director is too involved and just doing too much. And they're like, just let the actor act. As a director myself, I would love if a casting director did that, but I could also see why a director maybe wouldn't like that, or they want a casting director who's going to do all the talking to the actors because they're afraid of actors, or they want a casting director who's not going to say anything to the actors because they want to be the one directing the actors. So just like we have no idea what the casting director wants, the casting director is trying to figure out what the director and the writer and the showrunner and yada, yada, yada want. And it's going to be different for every darn casting director. So there is no blanket, this is how you audition out there at all. In fact, there is this interesting trend right now where there are some casting directors are saying you absolutely have to have a blank wall in your self-tapes. And then there are casting directors, and you can go on her Instagram. She's got lots of interviews right now. Reza Brayman, she is saying, why not make your self-tapes a little more interesting? Maybe have a more interesting background as long as it's not distracting. Maybe shoot it outside if you're outside. And she's so open to your self-tapes being these little artistic short films, whereas another casting director would not even accept that tape. So how do you know? Well, golly, I don't even know anymore. I think the next time I do a self-tape that I'm feeling like getting artistic with and I don't know the casting director, I think I might shoot it artistically and then I might shoot it against a blank background because I don't want to lose that opportunity, but I also don't want to lose the opportunity to really show them what I can do at the same time. So I might, more work, but what are you going to do? Give them both options. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you are safe out there. Keep wearing your mask. I know there's a lot of different information out there, but it's better to be safe than sorry, right? I want to see you guys walking the red carpets this time next year, booking those roles, sending me emails about how you're doing. If you do have any questions, you can hit me up at hollywoodactorsguide@gmail.com. You can also hit me up at the Instagram at Jennifer Lynn Warren. Or if you'd like to send a virtual tip, you can send it to either PayPal me at hollywoodactorsguide@gmail. Or you can send it to my personal account, which is Jennifer Lynn Warren @gmail. Or you can Venmo, whatever. Tips are always appreciated, especially in this time. So break a leg out there, guys. And remember, you are not alone.